Here we are, New Year's Eve 2021. We've decided to put together a year in review. We're going to go over a recap of the 2021 survey results. We asked 250 questions this year, including a mid-management compensation survey, over 25 surveys. Thank you to everyone that participated. I have a special guest to join me today to go over our top 10 stats for 2021. Roger, thanks for joining.
Hey, Ryan, thanks so much. It's really fun to be here with you today.
Okay, so we're going to go from 10 through to 1. The first stat I have here is 23% have no capital dues charge. What do you think about that, Roger? Is that a high or low number to you?
Wow, that seems like a low number to me. And I'm trying to think, does that mean 23% of clubs have really ecstatic members, or what would that indicate?
Yeah, exactly. So, it's not easy to drive capital at the best of times. I thought that number would have been lower. It's not going to be zero, but and maybe it's going in a certain direction. We can see in years to come, just like the benchmarking we with a lot of other stats. But that one kind of surprised me. Heading into number 9 here, 22% report being terminated at some point in their career.
Well, I would be part of that 22%. There was an old adage in my former profession where it's if you haven't been fired, it's because you haven't worked in this business.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe that changes per industry, but again, I thought that was a little higher than what I would have guessed. And that is for GMs and COOs in the private club industry, and it may not be in that position. It may have been as they were kind of climbing that ladder. So, number 8, 70% are unsure what the average term of their membership is. So this isn't one that I would have thought of calculating as a metric, but geez, after someone introduced me to it, actually it was Greg Patterson, it seems like something important you'd want to track for years to come. How long does your average member stay a member for?
Yeah, and that'll give you some insight too into things like lifetime value of your members, and you can really understand some of the inflection points of the experience they have at the club.
Yeah, I was a little bit lenient on this one too. The number actually might be higher, but some ballpark it. They said, okay, it's around 15 years or it's around 10 years, and they would have rounded, which is better than nothing. But I hope club managers pinpoint that a little more as time goes on. Number 7, we saw an increase, maybe a correction from last year for golf shop sales. 44% reported an increase of 20% or more in golf shop sales for 2021.
Doesn't that speak to the big opportunity, Ryan, that a lot of clubs have to really develop that retail aspect of their operation?
Yeah, I would think so. And again, we don't know exactly why. I think last year we do have it that 2020 sales were lower, and really even despite the supply chain issues, it has increased that much. 10% reported actually a 40% plus increase in sales this year. So you're right, really opportunistic, I think, heading into next year. Number 6, 24% have considered developing property for residents on their property.
Does that mean that they're thinking about putting residences on the golf course, or that there's a couple GMs who would like to live on the property?
Yeah, I'm sure that number would probably be higher. And there are some examples where that is in effect. But again, this one was a bit of a surprise to me. I know that down in the States, there's a lot of communities built in and around courses, and it's a little bit different. But to think, hey, we have some extra land, and there has been some precedent set, especially lately. We know of York Downs and a few other clubs looking to sell completely. Maybe clubs are thinking, hey, we have property, maybe our members would be interested in purchasing this long term. So yeah, interesting one there. Number 5, 48% had increased their patio size this year. And okay, you might say, well, they put some extra seats out there. 28% increased it, more than 20%. So I think some actually went to the length of a little bit of construction, certainly getting creative with seating. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, that one really smacks a lot of, COVID forced it, right? The pandemic forced people to gather outside, the restrictions indoors, et cetera, et cetera. But I do think it's one of those things that's here to stay. I think that gathering outdoors has always been a great thing. We'd say, Ryan, do you want to go hit a patio somewhere? That's always been a thing. And I think it's only going to be a bigger thing. I think there's a tremendous opportunity for clubs to develop their outdoor spaces in more ways than just a patio, too.
Sure, sure. Yeah, there is. And some might be looking at that or have this year. I'm looking forward to see where that one goes. Number four, 34% are looking at changing their gratuity model for next year. And again, this is kind of high, right? But clubs have been forced to be agile and adapt. What are your thoughts on that one?
It's interesting that there's been a conversation in parallel around paying a living wage, and I know that a lot of clubs trying to be competitive in the hiring market are paying their service staff more than they have in the past as well. So it's really interesting to me the way that these two conversations kind of work in parallel.
Yeah, we were sitting down with some students from Ryerson the other day in the hospitality program. They, of course, said they would prefer a higher wage versus, a gratuity model, but maybe they don't know what that looks like either. So I wonder if the change will be to a higher wage versus, a guaranteed kind of gratuity model, which is maybe tougher to attract long-term staff with, right? Mm-hmm. Number three, 40% are increasing dues 5% or more for 2022. This is a high number.
Yeah, and I think that facility usage is going to be a lot more important, right, for members. So maybe the increase in dues is commensurate with that.
Yeah, inflation, we know cost of goods are going up and everything, so I'm sure they can substantiate the increase of that 5+%, and almost half the clubs are doing it with those factors, right? So number two, we're getting onto wait lists here. This was, a big thing. We saw dramatic increases. So in September 2020, we had it that 22% of clubs were waitlisted. And then by May, that number had went up to 58%. So this may be record setting, I'm not sure. And for golf, private golf exclusively, it was 23% waitlisted in September 2020. And then by May 21, we were up to 70%. So, Geez, what an increase.
Yeah, and this is where I would want to put together a blue ribbon panel and really study this. I firmly believe this is in large part because of the amount of cash that are, in people's savings accounts. Parents aren't making the Disneyland holiday, the trip to Mexico got canceled. There's now people have the opportunity to finally join the club, right? It wasn't a priority before, but now they can finally do it. So if I were, operating a club, I would want to find out what else they want to do. What is it besides just join a club? How can we add the value and really, grease that wheel a lot more and get that value for the club out of that prospective member?
Yeah, you're right. Once they have it, now they're looking at trying to retain it and take it to the next level, right? One that's closely tuned to that as well. 36% of clubs, so about 1 in 3 or just over, saw 11% or more increase in their dues revenue. So that's closely tied to wait lists, and that's a nice benefit as well. They're seeing the revenue increase, not just the wait list, right?
Yep. No, absolutely.
Okay, and number one, we chose suspensions to look at the number one stat for 2021, and this was due to a lot of feedback that I got from GMs saying, member behavior and conduct unbecoming. They've had to take pretty dramatic action, and so we tracked from 2019, 40% of clubs had suspended at least one member. In 2020, that was up to 58%, and now this stat was only the end of August. 53% had suspended at least one member. So, some pretty substantial increases there, and the stories were pretty compelling as to what memberships, what had to be suspension in tow from that. So, and I know it increased the stress level for GMs, and we actually tracked that a little bit too to kind of put a numeric number on. Okay. What's the stress level at for GMs, and it rose throughout the year constantly.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a silver lining in that. I'm sure that there's not too many managers that would enjoy suspending a member, but now that they know that there's more people in that boat, there's a lot more conversations to be had about best practices around this uncomfortable situation and, what constitutes a suspension at your club. So,
yeah. Roger, thanks so much for joining me today. I want to switch quickly to the 2022 Club Innovation Conference. I'm really looking forward to presenting. It's less than a month away. For those maybe that haven't heard of it or are yet to sign up, tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, Ryan, listen, really glad that you're presenting again this year too. Your session last year was excellent. And, whenever you bring that data-driven approach to education and learning, it's always a good thing for everybody that takes it in. So thanks to you, and thanks to so many other people that are presenting at the Club Innovation Conference on January 11th and 12th, 2022. We've got the likes of Greg Patterson, Joel Livingood coming back. We've got Robert Sorecki is doing a presentation, 3 and Jackie Carpenter presenting around their book, People First, and so many more. The Club Innovation Conference is a unique online learning event. It's a conference for your entire club. So, one all access pass gets access for everybody at your club for the event online, January 11th and 12th, but also gets you access to all the recordings of the panel discussions for up to 365 days afterwards. So you can get all the information that you need at clubinnovationconference.com, and you can buy your club's all access pass there as well.
Thanks so much, Roger, and all the best to you and your family over the holidays.
All the best to you and yours as well, and happy holidays, Merry Christmas, everybody.